Bowers Game Corner presents Gencon Video Bonanza 2015. Brought to you by Gatekeeper Games, makers of The King's Armory, Thunder Track, the new sequel to Turbo Rally Card Racing, and the generous support of our Kickstarter backers.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for more of our Gencon Bonanza blowout coverage. We're live at Gencon 2015. We are at the blue-orange booth, and I have a treat. Because earlier this year, I got to try out a game, and I was absolutely smitten about the game, and now I got to sit down with the creator of the game. Shadir, hey, what's New York 1901?
New York 1901, it's your developer, turn of the century. You've inherited a little property, and you're trying to grow your empire. And I thought I'd tell you a bit more about the origin of the game.
Absolutely.
If you're interested. First of all, I was gaming when I was a kid, played a lot of D&D, played complex Avalon Hill war game simulations like that. Then there was a hiatus about 15 years, had kids of my own, and rediscovered the gaming market. And with my family on game night, we played the games like Ticket to Ride, Zularedo, Turn and Taxis. We played the card games like For Sale, abstract games like That's Life. And eventually the bug bit me again, and we tried to create a game. We decided to create a game with the family, something of that level. So my family became my core playtesting group, and I was looking for a theme, and I was always interested in skyscrapers, architecture. I wanted the setting to be historic, and I wanted an iconic setting. I like games where you can manipulate little buildings or little cars on a board, and I want to recreate that tactile feeling. So I had a look at New York. What better playground than a city like New York? People had done the late 20s, early 30s, the Art Deco period with the Empire State, the Chrysler Building. I wanted to do something a little different. So I went back, did a bit of research, and discovered the first wave of skyscrapers around the turn of the century. Sort of became nuts in the research, ended up collecting postcards, of which I have some of them in front of me. And actually, I'll give you more details than you need. The turn of the century was sort of the heyday of postcard collecting, so they're really easy to find on eBay. I collected every card I could find of skyscrapers from the period and discovered a whole bunch of beautiful ones. Discovered that lower Manhattan, especially the financial district, was where the first generation of skyscrapers really took off. So I discovered my setting for the game. I had the Stock Exchange, I had Trinity Church, and you can see Trinity Church surrounded by skyscrapers here on this postcard. Did my research, and then found out that this part of the city is also the oldest, which means the lots were very small originally, which means developers needed to accumulate a lot of land before they could build anything with a big footprint. So I thought, I think I could use that in a game. And also because the lots were small, the developers couldn't always build the ideal rectangular or square shape. Sometimes they had real estate holdouts, which forced them to build around around those holdouts, which hence shapes of buildings like this, which are actually based on skyscrapers. And you can see the little holdout in the corner. And that sort of gave me that was another idea, first of all, but it gave me the freedom to go a little Tetris on it. At first, my first prototypes were all square and rectangular. But seeing that there were actually buildings with funky footprints, like, for example, this AT&T building, which is an L shape, actually was an L shape built around holdouts. Discovering that sort of gave me the freedom to play with the shapes. And of course, Tetris is a game that a lot of people recognize and are familiar with. So it was an element that helped people, that hopefully will help ease people into the game. So I had my setting, I had New York, I had skyscrapers, I had the acquisition of lots, I had the funky shapes. Now my job was to put 2.5 years of playtesting. My family became my core playtesting group to make it work and hopefully to make it fun and interesting for people who are out there who are gaming or gamers, family gamers.
It is. Let me attest to that, it is. And this is here live at Gen Con, and I got to tell you, whenever somebody stops me and says, hey, I'm always like, what's the buzz, what's the hotness? Tell me something I don't know about. I've heard this consistently. So how is it doing at Gen Con right now? Because I know the answer already.
There were a limited number of copies available each morning, and they sold out within 5 or 10 minutes. It's, for me, a first-time Gen Conner, the first time with a game with a major publisher. I'm pinching myself. It's a thrill.
Right. So absolutely fantastic. And I know this is in the future. This isn't even out yet, correct?
This is the game's debut here at Gen Con, so it should be out within a week or two online or at your friendly local game store.
Any ideas pinging around about potential things in the future with New York 1901?
Oh, I've already got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm working on. I'm just waiting for the green light. If the game does reasonably well, I'm sure my publisher will come knocking on my door, and we'll start talking about other things.
Yeah, I just heard him knocking at that.
I'd love to do Chicago. My publisher is the headquarters are in Europe, so they're probably thinking Paris or London. That would be a challenge, because in Chicago I could still play with skyscrapers. In Paris and London it would have to be something different. The basic mechanics would be similar, of course, with some little variants to make it, to spice it up, to make it different for a different experience for gamers. But I would have to work a little harder on that one. But Chicago, I love the city. I've already got a section of it that I would use. There are also other parts. New York is a huge city, so there are also other parts of Manhattan that could be used for future material.
All right, very, very cool. So that is New York 1901 from Blue Orange Games. You're going to be hearing a lot about this game. I can already tell you that. It is fantastic. And I love this interview because most of the time it's all focused on mechanics this, mechanics that. I like hearing the backstory. That's really cool stuff. So thank you very much, Shanir.
Thank you.
If you're enjoying this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below. And in the comments below, let me know, have you ever been to New York and do you like it? It's a love or hate kind of thing. I personally love New York. I liked it a lot when I was a single guy. I plan on taking my kid as a touristy thing, but I don't know. I love New York, but I want to wait until my kid's a little bit older. But do you like New York? Do you live in New York? And let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
Bowers Game Corner presents Gencon Video Bonanza 2015. Brought to you by Gatekeeper Games, makers of The King's Armory, Thunder Track, the new sequel to Turbo Rally Kart Racing, and the generosity of these great companies. They support us, go support them.